Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Women Advanced Bible Study Night of the 20th of June, 2024. Okay, we'll be reading out of the book of Nahum tonight. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 videos. A lot of information. You can check it out. These videos connect dots for you. And lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. Okay, for those that don't know, this is the non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on the mountain by the Lord of hosts. Shalom and welcome to this channel. Welcome to our Israelite Advanced Bible Study, Women's Israelite Advanced Bible Study. And we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We have some women's health. We're going to do some current events, need to know information. Then we open it up for anybody have any questions or comments or anything they want to talk about, dialogue. And then we'll go into reading on the book of Nahum, reading it and breaking down scriptures. Okay? It's a moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts, and all he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay? Oh Lord, we come before thee. We come honoring thee and worshiping thee. We come worshiping thee because of thy great steadfastness and might. Oh Lord, you delivered our forefathers out of the land of Egypt and Babylon with a show of great force. Oh Lord, you foretold that you would deliver us from the lands of our enemies, the Gentiles, just as your servant Daniel examined the book of Jeremiah and realized your coming. Oh Lord, you have opened our eyes to these books that have been hidden from us, and we have discovered that you foretold the prophets that you were coming to deliver us. We are waiting and seeking you, O Lord, at this hour, seeking and waiting for you to your return. Tarry not, O Lord, stretch forth thy hands upon our enemies, scatter them, come from thy holy habitation, and turn back our captivity. Peace be unto you. Okay? With that being said, we read a song. Somebody gonna read a song?
Shalom, everyone.
Okay.
I will be reading Psalms 104. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord, my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty. Who coverest thyself with light as with a garment? Who stretcheth out the heavens like a curtain? Who layeth the beam of his chamber in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot? Who walketh upon the wings of the wind? Who maketh his angels spirit in his ministers a flaming fire? Who laid the foundation of the earth that it should not be removed forever? Who thou coverest it with deep as a garment, and the waters stood above the mountains. At the rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they haste away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys unto the place which thou hast founded for them. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over. They had that they turn not against to cover the earth. He seeth the springs into the valleys which run along among the hills. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild asses quench their thirst. By them, they, by them shall the fowl of the heavens, the fowls of the heavens, their habitations, which sing among the branches. The waters the hills, he waters the hills from his chambers. He the earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle and the herbs for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth, and the wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and the oil to make his face to shine, and the bread which strengthens the man's heart. The tree of the Lord are full of sap, the cedar of Lebron, which
Lebanon.
he Lebanon, which he hath planted, where the birds make their nests. As for the stork, the fir trees are here her house. The hills are a refuge for the wild goats, the rocks for the cunning. He appointed the moon for seasons, the sun knoweth his going down. Thou makest darkness, and it is night. Within all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. The young lions roar after their prey and seek their meat from God. The sun arise. They gather themselves together and lay them down in their dens. Man goeth forth unto his work and to his labor until the evening. O Lord, how meaningful are the works in wisdom. Hast thou made them all? The earth is full of my riches, thy riches. So is the great wide sea. Within are things creeping in their numbers, both small and great beasts. There goes a ship. There is a there is that um,
Leviathan.
Leviathan, whom they has made to pray therein. These wait upon thee, thou that thou mayest give them their meat in due season. They thou that thou givest them greater I'm sorry, guys, excuse me, that thou gives them the greater. Thou openest thy hand, they are filled with good. Thou hast thou hidest thy face, and thou hast thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away the breath, they die, and return to their dust. Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou knewest the face of the earth. The glory of the Lord shall endure forever. The Lord shall rejoice in his works. He looketh on the earth, and it trembles. He touches the hills, and they smoke. I will sing unto the Lord a song, as I will sing unto the Lord as long as I live. I'll spring, sing praises to him, to my God, while I have my being. My meditation of him shall be sweet. I will be glad in the Lord. Let the sinners be consumed out of the earth, and let the wicked be no more. Blessed thou, Lord, O soul, praise ye the Lord. That was Psalms 104, 1 through 35.
Okay, any comments?
Mm, no, sir.
Okay, we go to our women's health. Anybody have a women's health moment?
Yes, sir, I do. Shalom, everyone. Please know that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on Our Food is Killing Us. Today, the average American diet is extremely unhealthy. Most of the foods that we all love to eat are absolutely packed with things that will damage our health. Many of the ingredients that make our foods taste good, such as fat, salt, and sugar, can be extremely damaging in large amounts.
Go
On
ahead.
top of that, most processed foods are absolutely loaded with chemicals and preservatives. The next time you go to the grocery store, just start turning over packages and read the ingredients that are being put into our foods. If you have never done this before, you will be absolutely amazed. In many of our most common foods, there are ingredients that we cannot even pronounce. Sadly, most of us have no idea that eating a steady diet of these processed foods will likely leave them massively overweight, very sick, and much closer to death. Eating healthy takes more time, more effort, and more money than eating poorly does. Unfortunately, most of us are content to chow down on foods that are quick to make and that taste good. Most of us are absolutely addicted to foods that are loaded with sugar and high fructose corn syrup. When you start looking at food product labels, you will find that either sugar or high fructose corn syrup is in almost everything. But it is not just sweeteners that are a concern. There are great concerns about much of the meat that we eat as well. Today we grow animals much larger than we used to, but it comes at a price. For example, cows are pumped full of growth hormones and they stand around in piles of their own manure until it is time for them to die. And many of us, if many of us were aware of where the cheap beef in their grocery stores really comes from, we might just change our eating habits. Another dramatic change that has happened to our food supply in recent decades has been the rise of genetically modified crops. Excuse me, did you know that approximately 70% of all processed foods in our grocery stores contain at least one ingredient that has been genetically modified? This is one reason why so many Americans have shifted to an organic diet. Nobody really knows what the long term health effects of eating all of this genetically modified food will be on all of us. Most of us never even stop and think about how the food we eat is destroying our bodies. Most of us just go through our daily lives assuming that somehow everything is going to be okay. But the truth is that our food is causing major problems. Hopefully, we will wake up and start rejecting the food that the system wants to cram down our throats. We will need to start making better choices, growing a garden, eating organic foods, and supporting local farmers are some good places to start. I will be reading Isaiah chapter 12. The Lord is my strength and my song. Verse 1. And in that day thou shalt say, O Lord, I will praise thee. Though thou wast angry with me, thine anger is turned away, and thou comfortest me. Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid, for the Lord Jehovah is my strength and my song. He also is become my salvation. Therefore, with joy shall ye draw water out of the wells of salvation. And in that day shall ye say, Praise the Lord, call upon his name, declare his doing among the people. make mention that his name is exalted. Verse 5, sing unto the Lord, for he hath done excellent things. This is known in all the earth. Cry out and shout, thou inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of thee. Tonight's discussion was on Our Food is Killing Us, and I read Isaiah chapter 12, verses 1 through 6. The Lord is my strength and my song. Shalom, everyone.
Okay, appreciate the information, and I think everybody should take heed to the fact that start reading labels and start checking out where some of these your food sources coming from, because you'll be surprised. Okay.
Shalom. Yes, sir. One more thing on that, Brother Leonard. Now they have made it to where they don't have to list it as genetically modified. I think now they can just list it as bioengineered. That's all that have to be put on there with the label. And then there's a like a scan barcode on the box where you can scan that barcode and it'll tell you the ingredients in there. So they are changing the way that they're doing things now. They're getting smart. So if you see on the boxes or things now that it has bioengineered, that's because they've changed it from saying genetically modified to bioengineered.
Okay. Yeah, it's so many people becoming more and more health conscious. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we'll go to some current events. I don't know if anybody heard about this, but we'll talk about it.
Will be required by law to enroll for the Selective Service. This is something that has many people extremely upset. Many lawmakers are actually furious. You will hear from a couple of them today, and I'll explain what's going on, because right now, members of Congress want to include women in the draft. Before, I told you that men ages 18 to 26 would be automatically registered for the draft, because right now we have 1/10 of the people that we did back 50 years ago currently selected as a reservist. So I'm going to break down what's going on, but again, this is some troubling information, because right now, this is something we have never seen. But I told you before that just wait, even though this bill only included men, women would be selected soon because of one thing. Women want to be treated fairly. But now some people are saying that, no, this is not right. We cannot pass this bill. So again, I'm going to break all this down in just a moment. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So wait, we are now hearing that Congress is weighing the idea of adding women to the U.S. military draft. Why would they do this? Well, there's multiple reasons why, and you'll hear about that in just a moment. But because of this, we are now seeing a firestorm erupt. Adding women to the military is something they say we should not require. This is not a mandate. This should be optional. But I want to play you this, and then we're going to discuss it. Just look at this right here,
which sets out military and national security priorities, would require women to register for selective service. Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley is not a fan, writing on X, quote, "I'm not voting for any defense bill that forces my daughter to register for the draft. Not now, not ever."
Now, that's Josh Hawley. But here's the thing you need to keep in mind. There are other lawmakers that say, you know what? We need to treat women fairly. Women need the same rights as men. And, yeah, should they be paid the same? Yes. Doing the same job, paid the same, I get it. Right? But this is one where some say we have to include women. Here's where things are potentially going to be a little bit different. There's current proposal or an idea that all women are required to register for the draft. Okay? It would be a felony if they don't. That's one idea. The other idea is to include men with women. Okay? All people would be required to automatically be enrolled in selective service. 2 different ones. Automatic registration versus you have to register. It's mandatory. Okay? Those are 2 different sides. And this is where Congress is currently at, is which one do we select? Now again, Also keep in mind, this bill that they're discussing, there's not a chance this bill is going to pass in the Senate. It already passed the House of Representatives, but it's not going to pass in the Senate because there's poison pills attached to that bill that many lawmakers say we're not going to pass it. But what I'm discussing today is how women will be included into the next bill because they say they want to be fair. But look, let's keep listening to this, okay? And you'll see what they're talking about.
And he's not alone. Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy also reacting on X, quote, "You can go straight to hell over my dead body." The argument for women being a part of the draft comes from experts such as the National Commission on Military, National, and Public Service. It concludes, quote, "This is a necessary and fair step, making it possible to draw on the talent of a unified nation in a time of national emergency."
So there we go. Those are the experts. This quote was from March of 2020. We have had so much progress over the past 4 years. So do I think this is coming? Yes. Do I think this is the best move? Well, we're going to find out. But based off of what the reports are telling us is that before we had like 760,000 people that we could choose from when we went into war. Now, how about 76,000? That's where things are different. So if we went and had a world war, at this time, we do not have enough personnel to even man the equipment, get on the battle lines, and protect our country. Don't have it. That's where people are worried. That's why experts say we need more people to either get recruited and sign up, or it's a mandatory draft. But again, I talked about this before. How can we increase recruitment?
Okay.
It's done.
That's the question a lot of people have is, what do we do? Do we increase the benefits? Do we ensure that there's something more for their family? Right? What do we do? Because some people say that no, they are not going to register for the draft, no matter what. Other people said, and I talked to a few younger people just the other day, and I asked them, would you ever sign up for the military? And they said, absolutely not. They would not fight for this country because they do not believe in what this country is doing and the way we are moving forward. So there's that one where people don't want to do it. The other one is some of the recruitment tactics that some of these recruiters are using. Others say they don't like it, that they are actually being pushed away from the military. Initially, they went in, wanted to discuss this, but some of the recruitment tactics are pushing them out. So again, that's kind of where we're at. Now, one of the things I think is interesting though, okay, is what is actually happening right now, because a lot of people are saying that women are absolutely going to be included. Now, I think it's coming, but as of right now, just understand the bill that's proposing women register for the draft, it's not signed into law. Okay, so all those people are saying women are included. No, that bill hasn't passed. The bill initially passed through the House of Representatives, but that doesn't include women. This is also why some people say it has to include women to have the chance of passing. But again,
Okay. Any comments on that? Think about that.
Shalom. I'm thinking, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Shalom. By him mentioning the draft and how, there's going to be women and what's going to happen. Also, right now, it is a panic thing to hear something such as that, because how they do the draft and how they're going to do the draft, and they probably do it as a lottery. Whoever was born in 2020 would be, would be drafted if we had the war started in 2025, or they don't know how they're going to do it. And as far as the women going into, I think if they did a volunteer versus forcing these people to do so, they wouldn't have so many people be rebelling to it. But like right now, it's skeptical. People are not trying to join in this in our service right now. It's because of what we hear on the news. and one need to do more research about it, what's going on, to see if they really want to defend the country or what's their stake on it, not just what's happening with our presidency now and what's going on. They need to get to a point where do they want to defend this country and what cost, at what cost that they will, but to be drafted into it along with the women and men being drafted into it, the young ones, how their whole discord of being right now, the millennials, how they're thinking. It's going to be something tough, I think.
Shalom.
Okay.
Brother Leonard, didn't the age used to be 18 to 25 or something like that, and now it's 18 to 26?
Yeah.
Right, yes, sir. But let's look at this, Brother Leonard. You have women now that wants to be equal with the man, but they want to pick and choose on what they want to be equal on.
Right.
You know,
When
they want,
men.
right. They this gender thing is going on where they, you know, you got so many women that want to be men. You have the women that's fighting to be in the on the corporate ladder with men that want equal pay. So now that all of that is happening, and they, you know, with this, you know, the colorful thing, I'm not going to say it, but you know, they pushing all of this now that they're pushing, you know, for women to be drafted also. Now it's a problem. I think it used to be the reason why they were not before was something about they were looking for more you know, the men because of the combat zones, you know what I'm saying? But when
Right.
even when it comes to sports, you want women now that want to be into men's sports. You want the WNBA to be paid just as much as the NBA. So it's that we're wanting to pick and choose as women what we want.
Right.
You know, now that you got to throw away the lace fronts and the 3D eyelashes, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's no.
Right. And this song,
Yes, sir.
that's normally how it goes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And this song. Okay.
Now let's turn our attention to Islam's holiest city, Mecca, in Saudi Arabia, where nearly 2 million Muslims began the Hajj pilgrimage last week. But as they reached the end yesterday, for many, the journey proved fatal. The heat has been unrelenting. Temperatures have reached 51.8 degrees Celsius, and more than 1,000 Hajj pilgrims have lost their lives. This includes people who traveled from across the world, including at least 68 Indians who have died.
Yesterday we were on our way and we saw corpses on the road. They were covered with a white sheet because the temperatures here are really high. And I'm not just talking about old people, young people have died too. It was a very hard day because of the extreme heat. A lot of people died. The ambulances were overwhelmed. You would talk to someone and suddenly they would die.
Unregistered pilgrims made up more than half of the deaths. Without cooling or healthcare resources, they perished in the intense heat. And that's not all. Thousands of others suffered from heat exhaustion. Close to 3,000 cases were reported on Sunday alone. Hot weather is not new for Mecca. It has almost always seen a hot climate, and this has not bothered the Hajj in the past, which has been conducted in the same way for centuries now. But global warming is making the heat severe, and the infrastructure can't seem to keep up. Scientists say that by 2040, Hajj is going to be fatal. And it won't be an isolated scenario. By 2050, India will be among the first places on earth where temperatures cross survivability limits. And we can already see the signs. North India is reeling under a prolonged heat wave. Since March, 40,000 cases of heat stroke have been reported. At least 110 people have died, and the capital, Delhi, has seen a punishing summer. Daily temperatures are crossing 40 degrees Celsius and peaking at nearly 50 degrees. There are water shortages and power outages. This week, electricity demand reached an all-time high. Climate change is causing the current infrastructure to fail. In some cases, it is making deadly heat waves 35 times more likely. Like in the case of the United States, much of the country is sweltering. There's a record-breaking heat wave. 75 million people are under extreme heat alerts. That is 1 in 5 people.
We want to be clear, this is extremely hot for June, and New Yorkers should not underestimate the heat. With climate change leading to more frequent and intense heat, summers are different than they were before, and so we should expect and be prepared for the hot weather that is coming. If this is an indication, we're just starting out the summer months. We can only expect even more as the summer continues to move forward.
Indeed, we can. No continent is safe from extreme heat. Look at Europe. It is the fastest warming continent on Earth. Here, temperatures are rising at twice the global average. Greece is among the worst affected. It is witnessing the earliest heat wave on record, which has warranted school closures, restrictions, and even caused deaths. France is in the same boat. It is braving an early heat wave, which is worrying, because the Olympic Games will be held in Paris next month. The last Summer Olympics in Tokyo were the hottest in history, with temperatures reaching 32 degrees. Paris is expected to break the record. I know 32 degrees does not seem like much. For many countries, this barely qualifies as dangerous. But it is. In June, summer has barely begun for France. So Paris temperature should be between 14 to 24 degrees Celsius. That is the average. But this year, it has already crossed 30 degrees.
Okay. Any comments on that? Can anybody feel the heat?
Oh, yes.
So, yes, it is. And they said the East Coast is going to really feel it. We're supposed to be having a somewhat heat wave from all the way up Maine all the way down to Florida.
Okay. Yeah, you look at that, what's happening with those, with the Muslims on that pilgrimage they're going on. It ought to make you think, is that really a God you're dealing with, that you got to go through all that and die behind a pilgrimage? Is that something?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Got some leading on information right here. Thought this is pretty interesting. Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Well, I must say this, that we are living in some very exciting times. Now, all excitement is not good excitement, y'all. I just want to say that part up front. But we are definitely living in some very exciting times. And what I want to talk about in this video is amazing to me. Utterly amazing. Now, I'm not shocked by what I'm about to tell you, but some of you all just might be, because you live in a one-dimensional world. Some people live in a world to where only what they see is what they believe, right? But there is an unseen world that some people are afraid to even explore, talk about, think about, or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to be talking about the fact that scientists are now admitting that aliens may be living among us, disguised as humans.
Now, this sounds like some Book of Enoch stuff to me. So, those of you who follow this channel, you're probably already in the know about these things. You're not shocked nor surprised by anything I'm about to say. But I do find it interesting that scientific research is, they're exploring the idea that aliens are already here. Now, some of us know that they've been here, okay? But it's amazing that all of this information is starting to come out into the mainstream, and people are now openly talking about things. One commentator actually linked this to the Bible as well. You know, they talk about aliens, but some people, they know that the link is actually a lot deeper than just calling them aliens, right? That there is a biblical connection. So anyway, we're going to get into this topic. So this is on Fox 10 of Phoenix, but of course, a lot of outlets are talking about this. It says aliens may be living among us disguised as humans. This is according to Harvard researchers, scientific researchers. It says a paper written by research scientists at Harvard University suggests aliens could be living underground or on the moon, or even walking among us and posing as humans. Let me stop right there. Posing as humans. So, do y'all remember the scripture? As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and bring it up for y'all. I want to bring it up, okay? Because I want y'all to be just completely straight and clear on this. That's what I'm telling you. The pages of the Bible are coming to life right before our eyes. The words are jumping off of the pages at this point. So I want to bring up a scripture that brings us to remembrance of some things. Now, this person, they just said walking around among us as humans. Thought that was kind of interesting. So this is why I want to draw that biblical connection. Okay, so there's a scripture. Here we go. Here we go. I want to bring this up for you. Hebrews 13 and 12. Let me get that for you real quick here. I love the word. I love potential underground access points like volcanoes. Woo! So it says, although the idea is likely to be regarded skeptically by most scientists, such is the nature of some UAP, that we argue this possibility should not be summarily dismissed, and instead deserves genuine consideration in a spirit of epistemic humility and openness, writes the author, who include 2 Harvard researchers and a biological anthropology professor from Montana Technological University. So here's a portion that talks about what the government says about aliens. So of course, the government, they're going to be a little different about this. It says the Pentagon denies having any evidence of extraterrestrial life on Earth. It says the Pentagon study released in March reported sightings of UFOs over nearly the last century. Found no evidence of aliens or extraterrestrial evidence or intelligence. The Defense Department's all-domain anomaly resolution office reviewed nearly 80 years of reports on government offices and special access programs related to UAP.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? What do you think? Anybody had any alien experiences?
No, sir. Not yet.
No.
Okay. Okay, so with that being said, we'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments or dialogue about anything that they want to talk about before we move on and start reading out of the book of Nahum?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I have a couple of things. The first thing, the last time we was online, I think it was Tuesday, we were talking about the immigrants and you know how now they're trying to change things, right?
Right.
I was watching a video today where a man, I don't know how old he was, but he's been over here since 2021, right, illegally. And last week, Thursday, I think this was in Queens, New York, where he held a teenage boy and girl. They was both 13 at knife point, right? He took them in a park, and then he raped the 13-year-old girl.
Okay.
So once they put up, because he was caught on, I guess, like the surveillance cameras, and once they posted his picture up everywhere in the neighborhood where he lived, they knew he came to the store every day. So the people in the neighborhood was at the store waiting on him at the convenience store, and they beat the brakes off of him and
Okay.
then called the police.
Well, black folks.
Mix of, I'm gonna say blacks,
Okay.
Jamaican, a mix of people. And so,
Okay.
and they also had his what his tattoo looked like, what he looked like on the poster. So they was like, okay, yeah, he live in our neighborhood. He come to this store every day.
Okay.
So they posted up at that store and waited on him and beat the brakes off of him and then called the police. Yes, exactly. So he's been over here this long, since 2021, illegally, and they knew this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is nothing new. I'm just saying this has been going on for so long, where these people are under the radar, and now we're hearing about all of the things that they are doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you think this? You think it was his first time raping somebody? Where
No.
you already know you out, your name out there or your picture, but you still go to the same place you've been going.
Right.
So he was too comfortable. He did that before.
Right. Exactly. Yes, sir.
Okay,
And the other thing I had, Brother Leonard, I don't know if you heard about it today or not, but I did, that Louisiana has become the first state that requires the 10 Commandments to be displayed in the classroom.
Ma.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Governor Landry signed the bill that it was passed that by January 2025, it is to be displayed in public classrooms from kindergarten through state-funded universities.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course they are trying to, sue behind that, because they saying that should be taught in, the church, not the classroom. Yeah.
At home.
Right, exactly. And then this is something that caught my attention when he said this, and I kind of want this explained. I don't know, I'm not getting this. He said that that the law isn't just for religious reasons, but also for common cultural heritage.
Okay.
So to me, it is, now you're trying to pick up a certain culture. Why?
Right.
Because you got to look at, when you talk about cultural heritage, right, and things like that, you got to look at, what that really represents to me. Like, it has certain values, strength, you know what I'm saying, belongings.
Right.
You're part of a certain culture, it has values and traditions.
Right.
So again, they're trying to lump us all together.
Right, exactly, right. And that's putting that's taking away from the law, statutes, and judgments that the Creator gave us. Now all of a sudden they're trying to make it like it's, it have no specific origins. It's just something that humans came up with and they have to abide by if they want law and order. And downplay it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's like.
Yes,
same way with the New Testament telling you the 10 Commandments done away with, and that JC came died for all our sins. Same thing. It's denigrating what the Creator put in place on earth.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yes, sir. And he said another thing, something along the lines that if you want people to respect the law, you got to start with the original, which was given.
Right.
Like he is just, I don't know, he's going all out, but I've done some research on that. And I want to say it was like in 1980 where the Supreme Court had them remove the 10 Commandments from public schools. So how was he able to sign it, that bill again to pass that? Because it was in public schools before.
Right.
But in 1980, the Supreme Court said, it violates, certain rights and so forth.
Yeah, well, to me, that's a sign that they got a hidden agenda, because it's the same way with the Texas governor, the way he coming at the president. He acting as if he the president, and then he just blatantly disregarding anything Biden say or do. The same thing with that. Who had the final authority, the Supreme Court or you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You see that all over the place now. Oh yeah. Is there something?
It is. So waiting on the outcome of that to see what's going to happen.
Right. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to discuss? Okay.
No.
Somebody got something?
I was saying no, sir.
Okay. So, yeah, it's talking about, we revealed what happened with, and this is the crazy part about being in 2024 with all the things he created and did, and how he's bringing back the knowledge of us as Israelites and his culture and everything that he had in place. It says right here how to make it's a book that came out, how to make a Negro Christian, right? And so we know about the Clay Bible. They got the average Negro especially believes that the books in the King James, and the books in the King James is watched over by the Creator, watched over by the angels. Nothing was not taken away from it, or nothing was added to it. They actually believe that. And when we found out about the what they did with the slave Bible, put in there what they wanted, took out what they wanted, keep us dumbed down, and then we found out about what happened at the Council of Nicaea. How they changed the Shabbat and all that to all this stuff, but they still believe, and they want to fight for JC, fight for the New Testament, fight for all this, and they can't see that all this stuff was concocted. Well, I want to play this here, then we're going to talk about a little bit of it. Got a couple of videos saying it. It's the first one.
Morning, family. We're going to do a little short video this morning. We're going to call this video, How to Make a Negro a Christian. Well, back in slavery time, they had this reverend, a doctor, his name was Reverend Charles Colcock Jones. He was a slave owner, owned about 3 plantations. So he had to figure out a way how to keep the brothers and the sisters from uprising. So he came up with a plan. Let's give them that Bible. Let's teach them how to be a Christian. Yes, Master. All you got to do is believe in God, believe in Jesus, and when you die, you go into heaven. And that's how you got them. And it was very successful.
Okay. Anybody ever heard anything about that?
See that I have two really big monitors on?
It's a book.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Ought to
sir.
be a book.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Somebody, you heard that before?
Yes, sir, I
Yes,
have.
sir. I'm sorry, Sister Michelle. Yeah, I've heard it also.
Okay, what you hear about it?
So I heard about when they first gave the slaves a Bible, called it the Christian Bible, so they can keep control of them because they were many with few overseers. So they harped on them trying to become a Christian so that they can, handle them better rather than beating them into submission. They try to get them in there spiritually, saying that you have to obey your master and you will go to heaven. So if and that book is in the Smithsonian, that Bible that they had given them, and it has all of the same literature that was in there when they tried to teach them that they have to be submissive to their master, and if they do, then they will go to heaven, and if they don't, they should get the punishment that they said is due to them for sinning, and their sin was not doing what the master said, and that was
Yeah,
the sin they was teaching them.
yeah. With Romans, they would always go to Romans 1 and 10.
Yes,
And
sir.
there's something. Let me play this right here. You will. This kind of what I'm gonna talk about tomorrow. Clubhouse. And it's just like a little preview. Okay.
Everyone, back at you again, universityofhermes.com with another book review. And this time it's How to Make a Negro Christian. This should be interesting. A reprinting of the religious instruction of the Negroes and other works by Dr. Reverend Charles Colcock Jones. That's a long name. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's see. I want to get into the interesting stuff. Hold on. Amos Wilson, or Dr. Amos Wilson, goes even more in depth. We must keep in mind that the enslaved Africans were not Christians when they were brought to the New World. They were predominantly practitioners of their indigenous African religions and behaved in accord with indigenous African code of ethics. Therefore, the Christian religion, along with its ideological doctrines, were taught to and imposed on enslaved Africans by their white masters. Obviously, the masters taught the slaves Christianity for their own conscious and unconscious self-serving reasons. The theology they passed on to their slaves were necessarily biased in order to serve and justify their dominance. Blacks do not relate to, pray to, and serve Jesus Christ, excuse me, in the same way for the same reasons. Whites do, even though it appears they do. Christianity as a central cultural institution has not empowered the Black community in the same way it has empowered the white community, or as it has the other alien Christian communities, or any ways other communities are empowered by their own religious institutions. As a matter of fact, Christianity as it practiced in the African American community has probably done as much to disempower that community than to empower it. That sounds about right. Christianity to the slaves by their masters or by the dominant whites served to rationalize and justify the status quo of white mastery and black slavery. White dominance and black subordination, white command and black obedience. This ambivalent, I might have said that wrong, but oh well, function of Christianity as taught to African slaves remains embedded in the church theology of the contemporary black church. This theology and the ethics derive from its functions to sustain white domination, domination by other groups, and black subordination by means of inducing blacks to believe in and follow what appears to be divine. Where was I at? For whites, Christianity empowers, justifies their sense of moral superiority, justifies and dictates their dominance of non-whites, provides material enrichment, provides material comforts, reduces material suffering, is self-affirming, produces tangible and desirable results in the world, as well as the world to come, promotes the worship of a God whose image bears their likeness, provides a rationale for their racial self-centeredness, selfishness, and exclusively by confining the practice of brotherly love and equality, self-sacrifice, and the like within the borders of the white race. For blacks, Christianity disempowers, induces a sense of moral inferiority, preaches submission, subordination, and obedience, is associated with material deprivation, sacrifices material discomfort and suffering, is self-negating, self-effacing, produces relatively few tangibles and desirable results in this world, while emphasizing pie in the sky, otherworldly rewards, promotes the worship of a God that wears a non-African face and bears the facial image of their own white dominators and enemies, leading them to consciously worship white people, to think of them as more godlike than themselves, to perceive them as divinely ordained to rule over themselves, to associate whiteness of skin with all that is good and blackness of skin with all that is bad, provides a rationale for racial self-denial, selflessness, inclusiveness, etc., by expanding the practice of brotherly love and equality.
Okay, now you can see why we're in the predicament we in. Anybody else got any comments on that? Anything stand out?
Shalom.
Okay.
I have been thinking about this for a long time, as far as how they, when they came over to the United States, they did not speak the language of, of people here in America. So by them learning it and learning their language, there's more adapt to hear and do what they say because of what they're saying. If they had their own language, if they was able to keep their own language, as far as their books or whatever they had at that time, there would have been a big rebel. But being that they did not speak the language and they had to learn the language, and everything became as true to them because of learning that language and how to go about it. I think it was very easy for them to turn them that way because of the fact that they wasn't able to, they had to learn the language. versus knowing the language and then reading the Bible or getting the concept of JC.
Right, exactly. And the thing about it is the atrocities that was going on around them. You got to remember, they was over in Africa, living their life. They had everything was there. All of a sudden, they snatched up on the bottom of a slave ship with all of everything that happened with that, getting beat, hungry, all that. So that going on for so long, they'll believe something like that because of the experiences that they was going through. They was looking for any kind of outlet, and so they already had a system in place too. But a lot of people don't understand about that. They had slaves that came before them that spoke their language, but they had converted them. They had beat the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they had learned our language, still knew theirs. So when these other people came, they didn't been indoctrinated, but they could speak our language. So they would speak our language to them on the ideals that they didn't impose on them. Really, that's all a black preacher is. He just pushing their agenda, like the Bibl. Yeah.
Shalom. Yes, sir. That is correct. So you have to go back hundreds and hundreds of years, like you said, when they started teaching us this, Christianity, right? So this book tells you more about it. It's different from the slave Bible, right? This
Right.
book explains a lot more in detail on
Right.
how to convert a Negro to a Christian, right?
Right.
And so, Brother Leonard, they have used Christianity to keep us segregated for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Even
Right.
when we came over here speaking a different language, they even beat us for speaking because they could never understand what we were saying.
Right.
So if you were speaking in a different language, you got whipped, right? And like you said, the ones that came over before the other ones, they taught them how to speak English. And in some slave movies, you see how some of them was sneaking, teaching others how to read and so forth, right? But they couldn't let the masters know that.
Right.
And still to this day, Christianity is keeping us separated. And some of us have stayed in the church for so long, even when we are awakened to the fact of who we are, we still incorporate that Christianity mentality over here as a Hebrew Israelite. And it doesn't fit. We're not aware of it at all because we have been indoctrinated with it our whole lives.
Oh yeah, like I said, 18 missing years.
You will walk around the church and put money in the collection plate in the church. You will have order in the church where you got to stand out there in the lobby or whatever before they open the doors at a certain point. But then if you mention order among Hebrew Israelites, they got a problem with that.
Uh-huh.
But when you in the church, you following order all day long. You putting money in the collection plate 2 or 3 times before you leave the church, but won't support a brother that is dropping this knowledge left and right.
Right. That's what they done to us. They turned everything upside down.
It baffles me, but it's a good book and it needs to be purchased because I think it'll help us out a lot. And I just don't understand how we can continue to hold on to someone the same color that oppressed us for years.
Right. Yeah, that's the crazy part about it. Oh, yeah. And the thing about it inside that book, what is the objective from what is this guy that wrote it, the guy that was just mentioning, the results are what we're looking at today. They're telling you right there what their intention was, what the results, what they expected from what they was doing, and We got Negroes walking around exactly like that. Like I said before, you have to kill them when you break down who JC is, and they ready to kill you.
Right.
So yeah, is this song?
Yes, sir, it
Yeah.
is.
Okay. Anybody else?
Shalom. What stood out to me is when they were saying that the guy was saying that Christianity is more for the whites and not for the blacks.
Right.
So we can understand that because how if you're not, they say if you're not a Christian, you're not doing this and you're not doing this. If if you're a Christian, you're not supposed to be doing this or you're supposed to be doing that. But they can still lynch, they can still murder, and they could still kill you, but all in the name of Christianity. Um,
Right.
so it doesn't make any sense, and it don't add up, and it don't connect any dots just to say that you're a Christian, because when you look at that definition,
Yeah, you're in the
because
matrix.
if you are doing the right, doing the right thing, you will be doing what you're doing and still say in the name of Christianity that you're doing this to
Right.
devour another person's soul, to take away their privileges. And even when we heard about trying to put the Constitution back, I mean, in schools and stuff, they want to put it in your face because when you read down to the amendments, it says that the melanated people are one third of a being. Don't even say you're a human. It puts you like a dog. So
Right.
they want to put that in our face when they already have said it thousands of times and treat us like that. Now they want to put it in our face about putting it in the school system, all the way to college.
Okay.
Shalom.
Right. Yeah. So they say that he was talking about how the results that the white folks get out from Christianity is totally different than the results that we get. Is that something?
Yes, sir.
And you can see it, it's obvious.
It is.
Yeah.
It was never meant for us. We were stripped of our culture. So even in today's world, if you speak a certain type of way or you behave a certain type of way, you're not accepted. So just say for instance, now we want to, in order to be accepted at a certain job or a certain place, they saying you have to speak a certain type of way. When we started going to their schools, they started correcting how we speak to turn us to speak more properly. Like you said, we from the country, we country people, so we have a slang to the way we talk, and so people want to assume we're not intelligent because we speak a certain type of way, or we're not pronouncing words a certain type of way. And then when you go in and you start breaking down things to them, you leave their mouths wide open because I'm not speaking like I'm from, Canada somewhere, or, New York. I don't have
Right.
this proper talk when the population that is in New York as blacks came from the country. They migrated there,
Right.
but they brainwashed them more in California, New York, and those places to behave and speak a certain type of way, because if they did not, they would not be able to, thrive, get certain jobs or whatever. So,
Right.
yes, and that's the same way in the church. They teach you how to behave a certain type of way. They are there to strip you of your culture. And that's what I mean by, now that we have awoken to the fact of who we are, we still incorporate so much of that Christianity that has been instilled in us, to we don't we don't know that we're even doing it.
Exactly.
Shalom. What I see for us, the book, and how they are going about it, again, we speak their language. we're corporate now to speak English. Um, the whole thing that I look at is what represents it. The picture that they placed first. They showed the picture of their less melanated skin tone. So by that, everything was privileged to them because of the skin tone of JC. So there's a majority, and that's what uh, when they came over, they saw them and they saw their skin tone, and then now they're speaking of who's the master. The master has the same skin tone, so fall in line again when, as a Christian, and since they're more privileged as a Christian because of JC having the same skin tone as them, making everything to be right. You don't speak correctly, you don't do this correctly because you're not part of it, but we'll bring you into it. You can believe, but you're not really going to get the just because of who you're worshiping. It's going to take care of us first, then you. That's how it, you don't talk back to them. You don't do that. That's not right. You have to obey them. They are more ahead of us. They're empowered. Who's they? The ones with the same skin tone that they placed the picture of JC to be.
Okay. I'd go for that.
I can go for it.
Anybody else?
Brother Leonard, I can really go in and talk about it all day long, but I'm gonna cut it off. We'll talk about it maybe next week some more, or whatever, because it's about kicking rocks when it comes to them. I'm gonna put it that way. You just have to again strengthen your mind to say, we all have been in the church. We all have, praised JC, right? And we knew he was a different color. We knew he was a different color. And now what they doing today, they want to put color on him, but still say Christ. It's not working. It's like oil and water. It's not mixing at all. In the first place they go to when they want to quote the scriptures, these other people that say they're Hebrew Israelite, is the New Testament. The video we was watching earlier, the first place she went to was Hebrews.
Right. Exactly.
And that's talking about Christ all day long in the New Testament.
Right.
You can't change it.
Right.
It is what it is.
Okay. And then, like you said, in Isaiah 52, that they're going to be, their mouths going to be wide open. When the truth come out, they're going to really be looking crazy. And not only the other nations, but a lot of Hebrew Israelites going to be standing there with their mouth wide open because they can't believe that, they got hoodwinked the way that they did. It's right in their face, but they can't see it. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna read it's only 3 chapters in Nahum. We'll read those 3 chapters out of Nahum, and we'll break them down as we go. Read one, read another one, then we'll break it down, then we'll read the last chapter. Somebody wanna read chapter 1, and then
Yes, sir.
chapter 2. Okay. Nahum chapter 1.
Just a moment. I'm trying to get it. Shalom. Nahum chapter 1. The burden of Nineveh. The book of the vision of Nahum the Elshashite. God is jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth and is furious. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. Verse 3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebuketh the sea, and maketh it dry, and drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languisheth, and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languisheth. The mountains quake at him, and the hills melt, and the earth is burned at his presence. Yea, the world and all that dwelleth therein. Verse 6. Who can stand before his indignation, and who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. The Lord is good, a strong hold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust in him. But with an overrunning flood he will make an utter end of the place thereof, and the darkness shall pursue his enemies. What do ye imagine against the Lord? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up the second time. For while they be folding together as thorns, and while they are drunken as drunkards, they shall be devoured as stumble fully dry. Verse 11. There is one come out of thee that imagineth evil against the Lord, a wicked counselor. Thus saith the Lord, though they be quiet, and likewise many, yet thus shall they be cut down when he shall pass through. Though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more. For now will I break his yoke from off thee, and will burst my bonds in sunder. And the Lord hath given a commandment concerning thee, that no more of thy name be sown. Out of the house of thy gods will I cut off the graven image and the molten image. I will make thy grave, for thy art vile. Verse 15. Behold, upon the mountains of the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. O Judah, keep thou solemn feasts, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off. That was Nahum verses 1, chapter 1, 1 through 15.
Okay, you get anything out of that?
Yes, sir. So when the Lord of hosts talks about what he's going to do, he does what he says, and he means what he says. So when we try to go in the New Testament to see that JC is now this peaceful person, being that just forgives everything, don't have fury, and don't do things to the enemy, then that doesn't connect the dots to the Old Testament. Because here, the Lord of hosts is saying that he is a jealous God, and that he takes revenge. He says to do one thing, you don't do it, and then something happens. Shalom.
Okay. So in verse 1 it says, the burden of Nineveh. So when you see Nineveh, what do they do? It ring a bell for anybody?
Is that the capital of Assyria? That great city?
Capital what?
Assyria.
Right. So when you see Assyria, what's the first thing come to your mind? Ain't that where the 10 tribes went?
Yes, sir.
So this is Nineveh. This is Nahum is talking to them about they went into captivity. Hosea told them they was going into captivity with Nineveh, Now Nahum is telling them that the Lord of hosts is coming. If you go back and you can remember what Jeremiah told them, that Nebuchadnezzar was coming, and then they was going to Babylon for 70 years. But then he said the Lord anger was going to be turned from off of them, and he's gonna punish Nebuchadnezzar and deliver them out of the land. So Nahum was telling them that even though they in Nineveh, the Lord is going to come and punish the Assyrians and deliver them out of Nineveh. So if you go to verse 13, it says, "For now I will break his yoke from off thy neck." So it's the same thing that's in curses, ain't it? Deuteronomy 28. So they're going to put a yoke of iron on our neck and until he destroyed us. And then he said that he's going to come and deliver us after the tribulation. So we come and deliver us. So he's saying the same thing right here. Says, "For I will," verse 13, Nineveh, Nahum 1 and 13 says, "For I will break his yoke from off this Assyrian, from off thy neck. I will burst thy bounds asunder, and the Lord hath given a commandment concerning thee, Israel, that no more, see that thy name shall be sown out of the house of gods, which I cut out, the graven image and the molten image, and I will make thy grave, for thou art vile." Then 15, "But upon the mountains, the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast, and perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He shall be utterly cut off." So they went to Assyria, and because he went and got them and brought them there because Israel was sinning. But once they performed what he wanted them to do, then he turned around and punished Assyria. That's what Nahum talking about. Okay. Anybody want to read chapter 2?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I'll read chapter 2. Nahum chapter 2, the invasion of Nineveh. "He that dasheth in pieces is come up before thy face. Keep the munition, watch the way, make thy lions strong, fortify thy power mightily. For the Lord hath turned away the excellency of Jacob, and the excellency of Israel. For the emptiers have emptied them out, and mirrored their vine branches. 3. The shield of his mighty men is made red. The valiant men are in scarlet. The chariots shall be with flaming torches in the day of his preparation, and the fir trees shall be terribly shaken. The chariots shall rage in the streets. They shall jostle one against another in the broad ways. They shall seem like torches. They shall run like the lightnings. He shall recount his worthies. They shall stumble in their walk. They shall make haste to the wall thereof, and the defense shall be prepared. The gates of the rivers shall be opened, and the palaces shall be dissolved. 7. And Uzziah shall be led away captive. She shall be brought up, and her maids shall lead her as with the voice of doves, tabering upon their breasts. But Nineveh is of old, like a pool of water. Yet they shall flee away. Stand, stand, shall they cry, but none shall look back. Take ye the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold, for there is none end of the store and glory of all the pleasant furniture. 10. She is empty and void and waste, and the heart melted, and the knees smite together, and much pain is in all lions, and the faces of them shall gather blackness. Where is the dwelling of the lions, and the feeding places of the young lions, where the lion, even the old lion, walked, and the lions wept, and none made them afraid? The lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps, and strangled his lioness, and filled his holes with prey, and his dens with raven. 13. Behold, I am against thee, said the Lord of hosts, and I will burn her chariots in the smoke, and the sword shall devour thy young lions, and I will cut off thy prey from the earth, and the voice of thy messengers shall no more be heard. That was Nahum chapter 2, the invasion of Nineveh.
Right. So we see right here in 13 what he had prophesied, Nahum prophesied came to pass. So we come and he judged Nineveh. So if he judged Nineveh, that means the 10 tribes came out. And as I keep on saying over and over again, they didn't want to come back to America, to the land of Israel, because they said that they couldn't worship their God there where they wanted to. So they went to a foreign country, they went over to where he was at, where we found them at. And that's went over on the west coast of Africa. We had been there a lot longer than what they seen. They didn't, you know what I'm saying? They want to. That's why when they talk about the transatlantic slave trade, they want you to think that nothing. We hadn't done nothing, accomplished nothing up until they came and got us and civilized us. But that's not the case. We had came out of the land of Israel. We had been over there for hundreds of years. From the Mali Empire, Mansa Musa, all that. These Israelites. Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, yeah. So I'll read chapter 3, then we'll close out and get it. Okay, it says, "Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of wheels, and of prancing horses, and of jumping chariots. The horseman lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain in a great number of cases. There is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses because of the multitude of the whoredom of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of the witchcraft that selleth nations through her whoredom and families through her witchcraft. Behold, I am against thee, says the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirt upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms by thy shame. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who shall bemoan her? Whence shall I seek comforters for thee? Art thou better than a populace of Nut that was situated among the rivers that had the waters round about it, whose ramparts were sea, and her walls were from the sea. Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. But Put and Luban were by thy helpers. Ye was thy helpers. Yet was she carried away. She went into captivity. Her young children also were dashed into pieces at the top of the streets, and they cast lots for the honorable men, and all the great men were bound in chains. Thou also shalt be drunken, and thou shalt be hid. Thou also shalt seek strength because of thy enemy, and thy stronghold shall be like the fig tree when the first ripe figs. If they be saddened, they shall even fall into the mouth of the eater. Behold, thy people in the midst of thee are women. The gates of thy land shall be shed wide open until thy enemies, the fire, shall devour thy bars. It say, draw thee water from the siege, fortify the strongholds, go into clay, and tread the mortar. Make strong the bricklet. There shall be fire devours. There shall be There shall the fire devour thee, the sword shall cut thee off, it shall eat thee up like the cankerworm. Make thyself many as cankerworm, mark thyself many as the locust. Thou hast multiplied thy merchants above the stars of heaven. The cankerworms spoil the fly and fly away. Thy crown are as locusts, okay, and thy captain is as grasshoppers, which came into the hedges in the cold day. But when the sun arises, they flee away, and their place is not known where they are. Thy shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria. Thy nobles shall dwell in the dust, and thy people is scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathereth them. There is no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous, and all that hear the bruise of thy shall clap thy hands over thee, for upon whom have not thy wickedness passed continuously. Okay, so that was the book of Hosea. It's on the 3 chapters. Anybody have any questions or comments from what we was reading before we shut out?
The book of Nahum?
Yeah, that was Nahum.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay.
No, sir, I have nothing else.
What the Most High, excuse me, go ahead, Brother Leonard, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say what the Most High say he gonna do, he gonna do it. So at the end, if he say he gonna bring destruction or shame or whatever, he's gonna do that, and it's nothing you can do about it. The last verse says there is no easing your hurt. You know what I'm saying? In verse 19, there is no healing of thy bruise. So what he say he gonna do, he gonna do.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And like I said before, the same bruise that's in Isaiah 53. So we let you know we're talking about the same. We see right here in Nahum, he ain't talking about Jesus. So how can he be talking about Jesus in Isaiah 53? Same, whoever it is that's being bruised, the same person that's being bruised right here is being bruised in Isaiah 53. The wound is grievous. That healing medicines all using the same wording, the same thing that he did. And Isaiah, like I said, Jeremiah saying the same thing. He brought some people to punish the Israelites. Then after that person punished them, he came and punished that person, the people that punished his people, and brought them out. So Nahum telling them that the Lord is coming to Nineveh, and he's gonna deliver them out of Nineveh. Okay, that's what we're looking at. But you can't follow that narrative the way you should because of what they can do with the books, how they rearrange them and all that. They want what Nahum and these minor prophets saying. They want you to believe that he's talking about JC and things to come. Leading you to the New Testament. But you can see that obviously that's not the case. But before we go, that takes you back to what, like I said, the purpose of how to make a good Negro Christian. They're giving you the story they want you to have, which is to lead you to their God. But the story, but the actual scriptures ain't even talking about what they're telling you is saying. Yeah. Okay. Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna pick this conversation up, go into it a little more with some of the things that this pastor proposed when he says how to make a Negro Christian. So it's what this guy did was this on how to make a Negro Christian. Same thing what Willie Lynch came with, and how to make a slave. Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. So like I said, we'll pick some of this up tomorrow on Clubhouse. Will nobody have anything? Say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. And I'll see everybody on Clubhouse tomorrow at 7 to 9. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.